'Cause it's hard to be able to go to a dentist if it's only during, like, school hours, work hours, no weekends. You have to take time off, and that's really hard for people, so I think it's so cool to me that you guys are open late and on the weekends, and that had to have been a hard decision, though, as you were saying.
It was a difficult decision, and it was a little bit of grind and a little bit of building, right? Because we had to open back up, and it was really big picture looking at it. Like, so we were doing a certain revenue, and I was like, I'm not happy with that number. I need to really get a higher number than that, right? And it was talking about how we were doing it. So you're, a marketing specialist, which we love, and we talk about, what is going to bring in the right type of people, who are you looking for, what's your avatar, as people call it, and what are they looking for? Because what we do is everything is about us, and when you think about it, it's really not about us, right? It's about the client, it's about the guest, it's the patient, it's what do they want, and then can we match up and deliver that? And that was when we started looking at that. I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So we are all about patient experience and patient quality first, and we put them first, and putting them first means having this availability for them to come in.
Welcome to today's Heart of the Hustle. I am here with Dr. Kap from Active Dental, my favorite dentist here in the DFW area. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to be here.
I know, me too. So tell us a little bit about Active Dental.
Yeah, Active Dental we started it back in 2009 over in Irving, and we have grown to 5 locations. We have 7 wonderful doctors and about 40 team members, and just really care about helping the patient.
Yeah. And one of the things we've worked together for, I don't know how long now, 6 months or so. I've been helping you with your marketing, so I know you and your team really well. But one of the things I admire about you guys is you really focus on building a really great culture among the employees.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm glad that you noticed that. It is something that we've taken an effort over the last 2, 3 years. So as we've continued to grow, our culture, it was easy for me when I was like one practice and it was me every day there. And it got a little complicated when I started backing away and having to have multiple offices, because my leadership wasn't there, or different teams were leading it, and the energy was that. Positivity is a core value of ours, and I really do believe in energy. And so we had to start getting team members that really bought into that positivity culture. Culture is a buzzword that everybody throws around, right? Like, culture is what everything values now. People look at practice values and things like that, and they look at culture. How do you value culture, and how do you sort of calculate that? It's difficult. And we realize it's just an energy. It's people and how they feel. And so we've realized that if we invest into our team and we pour into our team, and they're the right team members, so positivity is something we test before we hire you, it just goes great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking yesterday a little bit about the power of positivity and confidence, and we were talking about somebody on the team who, just kind of at some point in their career came into their own, and that, like, all of a sudden, like, the numbers changed, right? Like, the actual revenue changed just because their presence changed. And I think that's such an important lesson in energy.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. That helped a lot, and not just that one person, right? It's been multiple people on our team that we've seen, and that kind of came from leadership, right? If we're bringing a good energy and supporting them and guiding them to that work, for me, it's practicing was like, I care about my patient, and we care about taking care of my patient. And over time, as I've grown, I realize I don't care about my patient, and that doesn't mean a negative way. It's that if I care about my team, they will care about the patient. So it passes down, and my patient still gets the best quality care and the best service, but it doesn't come directly from me, and it came from my team. And so we just realized from our leadership, if we pour into our team members and preach that positivity and preach that energy, and they just have fun. This new generation, they want to enjoy where they work. You can work anywhere. There's a lot of gig workers out there that can choose to do what they want when they want. And so it is really about how they feel when they come to work. It's a second family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came to your kind of kickoff party for this year and interviewed, I think, probably maybe most of the staff, and we did little, promotional, tell us what you love about working at Active Dental. And they all said the team, all said their teammates. They all said that, it's such a positive environment. And so it's working.
I love that. That gets me excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why dentistry?
Why dentistry? There's a couple of stories. One is when I moved here, My mom went to the dentist. The dentist was amazingly nice to my mom. I like this ability to service. And then the real part of it is that growing up, my parents said we need to do something in the healthcare field, right? My parents are motel owners. They grew up in the business life. It's a different life. They wanted a different life for us and to get out of sort of motel life, right? And healthcare was the way to do it. So I just started looking at all my different avenues. Medical school was something that I felt like was going to take too long, and I didn't have the passion, so I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
My brother went to pharmacy school, and it was good for him, and he's great at it. I found it boring, so I was like, I'm not going to do that. I ended up at Houston because he was in pharmacy school there. So I was at the University of Houston. They have the only optometry school in the state of Texas, so I was going to go optometry. And then I started meeting some people in some of our classes, and I met a few people that were telling me about dentistry, and I was like, that sounds interesting. We'll try that. So I applied like a full year early. I got in, and there was no looking back. I was like, okay, I enjoy this. I'm good at this.
And so you grew up in East Texas?
Yeah, it's out in Texarkana. Yeah.
Okay.
On the Texas side, just to be clear.
Is there a difference?
There's a big difference. The Arkansas side is very different. But there's a state line, and literally half the town's on Texas and the other half's in Arkansas.
Oh, that's funny. And they're totally different cultures depending on which side you're on?
Yeah, I mean, like the Texas side was dry. So if you wanted to get alcohol or anything, you'd have to go over to the Arkansas side to do it. And the two different schools, we had Texas High and Arkansas High. And then just, when you're that close, there's a state rivalry, right? Like Texas, Arkansas. When you live in Dallas, you don't really think about Arkansas at all, right? But when you live there, it's like there's a big rivalry between Texas and Arkansas. And like my cousin lives at Little Rock, sent me a picture the other day of Arkansas beating the University of Texas because it's still valuable for them, right? So it was just to clarify, Texas.
I grew up in Connecticut, and like we just didn't have those same kind of rivalries because we were all such small states.
Yeah.
That it was all just New England, right? To us, it was New England, New York, because you could go through 3 states just to go to dinner. So we never really, I didn't grow up with that, but it's a thing here in Texas for sure.
I mean, I've been raised in Texas my whole life, so I'm brainwashed to think that everything's bigger and better in Texas. And I just roll with that. So
yeah, and it kind of is. My best friend came here from Jersey a few weeks ago. She got laid over because they had a huge snowstorm up east.
Yeah.
So ended up taking her layover in Dallas for about 12 hours. And she just looked at me the other day and she was like, the hair, the outfit, you have become so Dallas. She's like, I guess everything's bigger because I got heels on. I got the big hair. I got extensions now. She's like, what has happened to you? Like, everything's bigger and better in Texas.
You might as well enjoy it.
Might as well enjoy it. Okay, so you go to dental school.
Yeah.
And then did you work for somebody else for a while?
I did. I worked for a couple of offices. I worked for a corporate office, Monarch Dental. I think their name is different now. It's my first job. It was definitely eye-opening, a learning lesson. And then halfway through that, about 7 months in, I was like, okay, it's not working. I'm not being able to produce here. And so I kind of quit, and then I sort of temped around at a few places. While I was temping, one of the ladies really loved me. She introduced me to somebody. I got a practice in Fort Worth that I was working at. So I was driving every day about 40 minutes or so. Those guys, that practice I took over, I was pretty much the only doctor, and it was like a new practice. Like it had been there for a while, but everything was really old. So I was redeveloping all the systems and everything in there. So as I continued to do that, I realized I'm already running this practice. I might as well just start my own.
Yeah.
And so I made the decision to go ahead and just open a brand new one. And we started in Irving, which is where I live. So it made it convenient.
Yeah. And so then you started as the only doctor.
It was actually one of my best friends from high school. I've known him since we were 15, Jason, and we started together. So he went to dental school with me too. And so we decided we're going to open 2 practices, one in Irving, one in Grand Prairie.
Right.
And they were both called Active Dental. And I really worked in Irving 2 days and in Grand Prairie 2 days, and he'd do the flip-flop opposite schedule. And that worked out really well for a while. And about 4 or 5 years into it, we realized we're kind of going in different paths. I want to grow, and I'm all about new and more. And he was really kind of relaxed and chill. And so our paths diverted. And so we separated. He took the Grand Prairie office and I took the Irving one.
And then you've grown.
And then grown from there.
grown from there.
Yeah, we've taken that one location up to 5, so
And you've moved more into the CEO role, so you're not practicing anymore.
I am not. Every once in a while, I'll fill in. I covered this
Pun
past Saturday.
intended.
Yeah.
Ba-dum-tsh.
Filling. Look at that. You need some drum sets for that. I filled in last Saturday, so every once in a while I'll fill in, but for the most part, we recognized as a company that if I'm practicing, it's taking me away from the growth of the business, and that concentration has been great. We made the Inc. 5000 list last year. We'll probably make it hopefully again this year. And that is kind of my reason to not practice, to be able to focus more on the business and the CEO side.
So if you look back to your decision to go to dental school, do you think you knew that you would end up wanting to build a larger practice? Like, was that entrepreneurial spirit always in you, or was it something that came to you later?
No, it was always in me, and I think if I talk to my younger self, I think I'm behind where I should be for timeline. I had higher expectations. I'd been growing a lot faster, and along the way, we had some bumps and bruises along the way, and some learning opportunities. Like I said, I partnered up with my best friend, which he's still great, and we have a good relationship. It's more like, okay, we wanted different things, but that was a time gap. But those are opportunities for us to learn and grow and develop. And there are times where I kind of like, you don't always know what you want, and so you want something, but then you get distracted very easily and you go for something else.
Yeah. How is being a CEO different from being a practitioner? And what are some of like mindset changes you've had to make in shifting to that CEO mindset?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one is a project is never complete. So when you're a practitioner, somebody comes in, they have problems, you sort of make a plan for those problems and you repair them, and it's all done in like 2-3 hours, right? And as a CEO, I do that with a company all the time, but that is not done in 2-3 hours. It takes phases. So this patience that I had to learn, that there's not a start and a stop and a finish to things. It's something that I just quoted earlier today, and I got this from, I don't even know where I got it from, but practice. I was taught practice makes perfect, and it doesn't. Practice makes progress, and progress is great. Yeah, but I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I've had to learn, is this patience, and then organizational structure.
Just delegating?
Delegating, but then, it's an accountability thing, and it's understanding, coaching, and how we all need coaches. And when I'm my only boss and I'm responsible to me, I can put things to the side and get them done later and get them done later. And later's like, I don't know when that happens. And when you have a coach and you have this accountability, or you have to do this yourself, it keeps you kind of in line, and you get done what you need to get done, and then everything just grows faster. So some of it we built in with our team members, and we have these leadership meetings. And now I'm responsible to make sure I get my part done for our leadership meeting in time. So every Wednesday we have this meeting, and it's great because everybody on there is like accountable to deliver something in that meeting.
And it's all about prioritization too, and prioritization of new projects. I know we were just talking about that project yesterday, right?
Yeah.
There's so many ideas, there's so many cool things you can do, but it's your job as CEO to not allow yourself to kind of go down that rabbit hole without understanding, okay, I'm going to have to give up something else to do this, or we have to make sure we set it up for success.
Yes. So I used to be a yes first guy, and I loved it, and my team loved it, and everything was yes. And now I'm a no first guy. Everything is no, right? And it doesn't mean we're gonna not do it. It's like, okay, no, tell me more. Let's build around it. What is the right timeline? And so it's sometimes a little complicated because people have these amazing ideas, right? You called me yesterday with this great idea, and I was like, I love this. Okay,
It
let's
was
do this, right?
such a good idea, you guys. Such a good idea. No.
It was. It's great. We're gonna definitely do it, right? But I'm like, no, we got to do this first, and we got to do this. And I have learned to organize that, and that has helped us really take off. Because we've been growing for a while, but our growth is sort of roller coaster. It's when we're really busy and really putting in time and effort, and then you kind of slack off, and that goes away. And now we've like just planning this out. I know people, they have these vision boards, and growing up, I always thought that was just dumb. Uh, like, what do you put a vision out there? And you're looking at it like, I'm gonna do that. Like, no, we're just gonna go make it happen. Uh, and now I've realized, like, okay, you do put something out there, and you put it out into the ether. And, I used to be afraid to talk about goals. because if I missed them, it would feel like I'm a failure. And I don't care. I'm happily out there because I have recognized that I have failed every goal that I have set, but I have achieved it 1 year later. So
Just takes a little longer.
it took a little longer. So I'm a little aggressive. I want to hit these goals. And then, I talk to my team a lot about my failures. And if somebody randomly were to hear me, maybe they think we are failing. We're not. We're extremely successful, and I love it. But it's just taking a little bit longer and having that patience. So it's just everybody has their own timeline.
Yeah. And how did you get there? Like, what was it coaching? Was it just getting beat up and realizing that, you needed to have this different kind of a mindset of bigger plans and saying no more often? And how did you get there?
So it is like a multitude of things.
Yeah.
Some of it was just getting beat up, right? Like one of our practices, the revenue, I had this decided idea, great idea. We're going to work Monday through Thursday, Tuesday through Friday. Work 4 days a week. I'm going to have a 4-day weekend every other weekend so that I can travel with my wife and, relax and take time off. And our revenue went down that year. And I was like, oh, this is not going to work. And I remember talking to my team members like, yo, we're going to have to open up Fridays. We might even have to open up Saturdays. And she looked at me and she goes, well, I'm going to have to see if the team wants to work. And I was like, no, we're going to do this because we can't have our revenue go down. So getting beat up hurt, right? Then going through different coaches. So we went through some coaches. One of the cool things that we went through, and I read a book called Traction. It's an EOS book, operational manual. Really talks about looking forward. And one of the coaches had us do a sort of a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, which is all just, this dream of what you're going to look like in 5 years. And it's not just the money, but it's what are you doing? What kind of work are you doing? What does your family life look like? How many days are you working? And looking into that. And so when I built that 5 years, I was like, well, I'm not going to practice because I want more time with my family. I want more time with my kids. And our practice is great. It's very convenient for the patient, right? We're 9 to 6. We're open on Saturdays, which is amazing for the patient. We take care of them, especially for the busy workers. But that takes away my time from my family. So what you talked about earlier, when you're doing something, you're taking something away. And that took away my time from my family. So I needed to build something that I can have both, a convenient, company that's great for business owners and other people that want to work and see patients, and then good for my family.
Yeah. 'Cause it's hard to be able to go to a dentist if it's only during school hours, work hours, no weekends. You have to take time off, and that's really hard for people. So I think it's so cool to me that you guys are open late and on the weekends, and that had to have been a hard decision, though, as you were saying.
It was a difficult decision, and it was a little bit of grind and a little bit of building, right? Because we had to open back up, and it was really big picture looking at it. So we were doing a certain revenue, and I was like, I'm not happy with that number. I need to really get a higher number than that, right? And it was talking about how we were doing it. So you're, a marketing specialist, which we love, and we talk about what is going to bring in the right type of people, who are you looking for, what's your avatar, as people call it, and what are they looking for? Because what we do is everything is about us. And when you think about it, it's really not about us, right? It's about the client. It's about the guest. It's the patient. It's what do they want? And then can we match up and deliver that? And that was when we started looking at that, I was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So we are all about patient experience and patient quality first. And we put them first. And putting them first means having this availability for them to come in.
Yeah, even if it's not
It's not ideal for us.
as ideal, right?
Yeah, like I said, I don't practice much, but I had to cover, and I had to cover Saturday. So I was like, well, I will put in time when we need to.
Right. But the loyalty you're gonna have from your customers is worth it.
It is absolutely worth it, and the joy that they get to be able to come in and take care of them. We hear it all the time, like, hey, nobody else is open on Saturdays, or thank you for staying open, and we appreciate that. So
Yeah. So tell me where the offices are. So you said Irving.
yeah, so that one's in Las Colinas. Okay, then we have one in Plano, one in Flower Mound, one in Frisco, and then one in Prosper.
Okay. And what's next? Or are you still trying to decide?
We are still looking. We're floating around ideas. I think priority for us is to kind of slow down a little bit and hone in our service and just grow the ones that we have, right? Because there's plenty of opportunity and we have plenty of room to see more patients. And so we haven't maximized these. And so looking at that, also you look at this year where the economy is headed, we don't know. And so I don't know that I want to expand and take a risk when we can just concentrate on what we have already. And then from there, we'll start looking. But we have plenty of opportunity in DFW. I think somebody asked me, would we leave DFW? And I was like, yeah, but it's going to be a while because there's so much opportunity here
Yeah.
that, that if I needed to leave, that means we have maximized DFW and we haven't.
And it continues to grow, right? North, 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 right? I mean, we're just expanding like crazy here in North Dallas, so there's no end in sight. One of the things that I was thinking about with your business is the power of having a really strong right hand operations person, because you have this really strong ops leader, right? That sort of takes your ideas and can help you to execute on them. So I kind of wanted to talk about how that changed, because I think that's something that all creative entrepreneurs, which I think kind of you and I both are, life changes when we're able to get kind of that ops person in, and when we're really willing to let them help us to find the vision and push back and delegate to them, the things that need to get done. And so it's something that I see in your business. I'm curious how that changed things for you.
Dramatically, right? It was a big difference, and bringing Isabel on was just a fantastic decision, right? You know, a friend of mine, a really good friend from college, and he's an investor in other areas and entrepreneur in a lot of businesses. And he was always talking to me about what is our secret sauce, what's our thing, what makes it drive, and how do we do this, and what are the struggles, right? Because you see these dental groups and they're growing like crazy, these DSOs, and they're big, and they're like, how do you get to grow that fast? And I was telling him, I was like, it's not the money that I need. It's not like I need investors or anything. It was people. We're a human capital business, and you needed the right people. And so as we started talking to him, he had a nephew, or he had a cousin that was in healthcare, right? And it's like, hey, how about this guy? And so we looked at it. We brought him on board in the beginning to be an ops person, and it didn't work out for us with him. And we sort of looked back, evaluated why it didn't work out, and he just wasn't experienced enough. And he's doing great now, but at the time, this wasn't the position for him to succeed in. And so we looked out, and actually a friend of mine, Sarah, passed me along this resume, right? And I didn't even want to interview her. And so I had a consultant that like interviewed her, and they're like, dude, you got to interview this. And I don't like, I wasn't sure that I wanted this position, to hire this position, because I am this position. I was like replacing myself. Um, and I don't like just one resume, right? Like I want choices. And I only had one choice in this position at this point, right? And our consultant interviewed her, and they loved her, and he's like, you gotta meet her, you gotta meet her. And I sat down with her at a coffee shop outside the Rangers Stadium, right? And it was like 2 hours. It was supposed to be a 30-minute meeting, and it was 2 hours, and we just sort of vibed well together. And that was great, because right about that same time I had given up practicing dentistry. So, when I did this E-Myth Revisited, and you look, I don't know if you've done that or not, but it's a great book, and you should look at it. I would recommend any entrepreneur should look at it. In our dental practice with me, there was like five people when I first read this book, right? It was me, an assistant, a hygienist, and a front office person, right? It's very small. And we looked at it inside this company, inside these 5 people, there was 30 jobs.
Yeah.
Like each person is doing multiple jobs. And I realized at the time I was really doing like 25 of them, right? And there's one at the bottom, when you build this organization chart, it's called dentist. And 90% of my time we spent as a dentist, which means I spent 10% of my time on 24 other jobs. And bringing Isabel on helped me, like, I stopped practicing to take over this management and leadership part, but then I also didn't have to deal with the operations. So it helped me free that up. And that's really what's helped our company grow, is having that strong person that I trust, that does give pushback when needed, that has ideas, that rolls through that, but also can take the criticism and the coaching that we bring, and we partner up together. So every Friday, her and I just have a strategy session on our business. It's like a catch up of what we're doing and how we're working together and what we want to do next. So sometimes it's her idea, sometimes it's mine. We're filtering through, like I said earlier, I'm a no first guy now. So she'll bring ideas and I'll say no, and like, give me more. Tell me why.
Yeah.
And I've learned to do that. And that's been fantastic.
I think a lot of entrepreneurs are scared to hire that right-hand person, for lack of a better word, because one, they don't want to spend the money, or two, I think there's an ego component too of like, will I still be needed here?
It is both. It is both. And the money, I think, is the excuse. I think you hit the nail on the second one is like, what do I do? Right? And it's really cool because I can go traveling. Like next week, I'm going, it's spring break. I'm going skiing with my kids, and I have doctors in place, and I have a good operator, and everything's going to be just fine. And until I gave up both of those roles and did that, I couldn't go anywhere, and we couldn't travel. We couldn't take trips, and maybe you could go for 2 days. And the money is a lot, right? So sacrificing that. So it's a family decision. You have to talk to your wife, and you have to say, hey, we're going to make this decision. And it works out in the long run if you get the right person. And you're not always going to get the right person. Like we failed on our first person. And so you have to take this risk. And I could have gone backwards and like, I failed. You know what? I got to step back into this role. And I did have to for a little bit. But then it's like, okay, now I know what I want, and let's bring it on. And it's an investment, right? Bringing in the right people is an investment.
And I think it's not just the time it gives you, but it's also the emotional and mental space that you get, because now you can look and really see what's going on. You can get the coaching, you can read those books, and you can sort of future plan, where if you're so far in the weeds, it's real hard to do that.
You're absolutely right, right? So I used to have 25 people work for me, and now I have 2 people that work for me, right? Our company is a size of 40, but only 2 work for me or work with me, right? And everybody else works for them, right? And that separation really was great. Like I just came from coaching one of our persons that we want to develop into an office manager, right? And I went through and almost did a personality work style test with her, right? And if I was her boss, it would come across very differently as not coaching, but almost criticizing and attacking. And now I'm in this position where I'm not in the weeds. I see her, you know,
Mm.
once or twice a month, maybe. So it can come across as real coaching. And that's helped across the board.
Yeah. So tell us about the kids.
Oh, I love my kids, right? My son was born in 2018. He was one of the reasons that we've kind of stepped on the gas pedal with growth, because he was in the hospital. He was born really young. He was born premature. He was about 4 months early. Less than a pound, 13 ounces, in fact.
How many weeks was
He was
she?
24 weeks. So, when you go there, you sign, my wife was kind of out of it, right? Obviously, she's going through stuff. And so they're asking me like, hey, do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, give me we're in the healthcare field. So I sign every consent form. I know there's no getting around it. So I'm just signing these things. And they asked me like, do you want to, your son's at 24 weeks. It's right at the cusp of where they can like save him or not. I was like, at that point, I was like, that's a dumb question, of course, right? And you go through this process and you realize like, oh, that wasn't really a dumb question, because there's all kinds of things that could have happened along the way. We've gotten humbled in some of those conversations along the way, but I'm in a great position because he is amazing, and you couldn't tell that he's premature, and you wouldn't think anything differently. So he is 7, and actually today's my daughter's birthday. She's turning 5 today.
So are they both in school?
They're both in school. Yeah.
Okay, so she's in kinder.
No, she's in pre-K, so
Okay.
she'll go to, because her birthday's in March, she's held back. He's in 2nd grade, so he's the youngest in his class, and she's in pre-K right now. She'll go to kindergarten next year, so she's excited.
And tell me about your wife. How did you guys meet?
So we met through mutual friends. My sister-in-law's family knew her family, so they gave me her email address. I emailed her, and then I got no response for a couple of weeks, right?
She's like, who is this guy?
That's pretty much what it was. And so somebody asked me, "Is like, hey, did you talk to her?" And I was like, "Well, I sent an email. Like that's all I had. What else am I supposed to do?" So it got back to her, and her mom got mad at her, and it was like, "Hey, this person said they emailed you and you didn't respond." So I think out of guilt for her mom, she emailed me, and I'm not really like, I'd rather talk, if you can't tell. So I just called her after she gave me a phone number. I just called her, and I don't know what it was. Something just clicked. She was down in Florida at the time, and I was like, I'm just gonna come see you. And I think she was probably like, wait, what are you doing? Like,
Creepy stalker guy.
I mean, we talked on the phone for like 2 weeks, and I was like, I flew down there, and I was like, I'm just gonna come see you. I'm gonna come hang out with you, and we're just gonna spend the weekend together. And then it kind of worked out well.
And were you already out of dental school at that point?
I was, yeah. I wasn't. I just turned 30, so I had already had my practice and everything too. So that's when I told her. I was like, because she had to leave her job, and her job was like, how do we get you to keep you here? And I had told her, I was like, I'm never leaving Texas. Most likely never leaving Dallas. And if I do, I might go to Austin. We'd already had a practice established and everything, so it was just easier for her to transition here.
Yeah.
And then her parents loved it. They found out that, she was moving to Dallas, so they it's full circle. My wife was born in Dallas, and then she moved to Indiana and then Florida, and now she's come back around.
That's cool.
So her parents have moved down here too. Now they love it here too.
Of course, they're like, "Well, just come back
That's
and take
exactly
care of the grandkids."
that's it, and they're great. I love it. I was a little nervous with them moving down at first. I was like, they're gonna be in our space all the time.
It's great though when you have little kids.
Oh,
They're willing to help.
well, my parents, my kids are lucky because they have two sets of grandparents and they live like 5 minutes away from us. So
So are your parents here now too, or are they still in Texarkana?
no, they moved here like soon as 2009, soon before, right when I opened my practice, we told them we're never coming back. Right, like my brother and I live here, and we're never coming back to East Texas. So they sold their motel, they retired, and they came up here.
I'm in a similar situation. My husband's had his business here in Dallas for 25 years, and so it's like I was very much like, as soon as my son graduates, I'm out of here. I'm out of out of Texas. I'm out of Dallas. And he's like, yeah, I'm not leaving until I retire because I can't. You can't once you build those businesses.
Shit, but it's great. Where are you gonna go?
I know it is a great place to live. It is
So
great.
I love to travel everywhere else. I couldn't live in the East Coast. It's too fast. I don't like the West Coast. I'm good here, but I love vacationing. So I'll go travel for a weekend or so. But yeah.
Yeah. So advice you would give to other entrepreneurs who are looking to grow because it's you've grown pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels slow, but it's been pretty fast over the last few years. I would say there's two big advices I would give. One is plan out your 5-year future. What does your 5 years look like? And you look at that as a North Star, and every decision you make between now and then, or every decision that comes back, don't let it distract you. Look at it, go back to your North Star and say, hey, does this help me get there faster or slower? And that's why I would say, like, we got distracted along the way. And before I really did that and said, this is what I want. And once I did that and this is what I want, then it's easy because you know what you want in 5 years. Then you back up and like, well, how do I get there? Not how do I get there, but what at 3 years, what does it look like? Am I halfway there? Right. And then you look at, well, what I need to do this year to get, you just make progress, right? To get 20% of the way there. And you can take the 1 year and break it down into quarters and look at like, okay, it's quarter one. This is what I need to do. And getting structurally organized helped. The second big piece I would tell you is to get a coach, right? For accountability purposes, somebody that's going to be responsible for you, help guide you, just call you on your shit, right? I don't know if you can say that, sorry. But you need that, right? You need somebody to be like, yeah, you're overdoing this. You don't need to do all this. And somebody you can just relate to. And your coaches are going to change over time, right? Because some coach is going to get you to a position. And then after that, you're not done with them, but you've kind of maximized that relationship. And so now you need somebody new to push you because you get to be so good friends that they're not like, they're agreeing with you. And when they start agreeing with you, that's not a good thing.
Right.
It's like, okay, let's go get something new now.
So if people want to find you and come visit you on your extended hours and weekends, where do they find you?
Yeah, so just go to our website, right? www.activedentalonline.com. 5 locations, they're all there. You can actually click the book now button and book directly through there. We're available Saturdays, every Saturday, right? And then we're open till 6. So come on in, we'll get you taken care of.
Thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you for having me. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.